Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we have a brand new episode in our Cloud Sync series. I have my colleague here, Zee Beg, and we're going to be discussing Kubernetes since it's been such a hot topic in the cloud computing world. But before we dive in, we want to give you a little background on DataNext. We were formed in 2017, and our mission is to help small, medium, and startup businesses learn and use the latest technology. Our expertise ranges from cloud computing, DevOps, big data, and security. We have certified professionals who have over 20 years of experience. Zee, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me again. And this series is very exciting, and we get like a lot of great feedback from our customers that they are enjoying these, uh, you know, s- uh, series, some introduction and some business problems and challenges and how to solve what technologies are solving these. So
Mhm.
I'm happy to continue this series.
Definitely, definitely. Before we dive into what Kubernetes is, can you describe the history of why it was introduced and why it's such a hot topic right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kubernetes was basically developed by Google Corporation, and the scale of applications Google have was huge. It's still huge, of course, and
Mhm.
they had like a lot of challenges how to manage application, deploy application, and all these things. So develop a technology, and later they actually made it open source. So now this is an open source technology, and that's why like it's become very hot topic because it's gives you a lot of flexibility with your application deployments. But before I go into more deep into the Kubernetes, I just want to take back and give you typical challenges the IT development used to have. So in a traditional IT world, we 20 years back, we used to write application code like bundle and package together. In technical terms, we call it monolithic applications, where all your application code, business logic is bundled together into a single package. And any application deployments you have to do, together. So every change,
Mhm.
even a minor a heading change or color change in the screen, you have to package all application together and deploy it together, test it together. It's where it become
Mhm.
cumbersome and difficult for IT teams, to manage and handle these. And one whole package is when you're deploying everything together, that means the application would be offline as well. So
Mhm.
things like with these type of challenges was in the monolithic world.
Mhm.
Going fast forwarding, you can say 5 to 10 years before now, the concept of service-oriented architecture and microservices became, little bit normal. And
Mhm.
now these days, everything is like a microservice development. And in
Mhm.
microservices, what we are doing, like we are splitting the business logic or application into small kind of a Lego pieces, and then
Mhm.
we put them together to build our complete application. So, for example, if we don't need some certain, if we have to enhance certain module or anything, so only that certain, you can say Lego piece or block of code will be offline. Your
Mhm.
whole application will be up and running all the time. So that is like a microservice approach, and that became popular by using, you can say, container services, such as Docker is a very popular container platform. So in a containers, basically you typical challenge again in the traditional IT world was developers used to say, "Hey, this code was working on my machine. It doesn't work in production, but it works on my machine." And the
Mhm.
problem was that uh, because developer laptop or computer has certain libraries installed, and that's libraries were missing in the production environment for some reason. That was causing a lot of issues with the troubleshooting, debugging. So the technology basically came up with the Docker containerization. Basically, the concept of containerization came,
Mhm.
where you actually bundle all your binaries, application, everything together in a container, and you deploy the same container into all your environments. So development, testing, production, you deploy the containers. And so everybody was happy for a while with container application, but then there was challenges again, like, okay,
Mm,
if we have multiple containers, how they can talk to each other, how can we secure these containers, how can we deploy the containers. Maybe I need 3 copies of the same containers running all the time for
mm,
a for application A, but for application X I need maybe 5 replicas of that. So that type of challenges came, and then Kubernetes was born, you can say. So it's
mm,
basically a platform orchestrate the deployments of the, you can say, Docker containers.
mm.
So that's a major benefit. I mean, of that's the whole story of Kubernetes, because, and that's
Yeah.
why it's like becoming like a kind of a very, you can say, standard in the deployment, application development and deployment, because it's provide a lot of capabilities and benefits over traditional IT approach.
So it definitely sounds like it saves quite a bit of time in the deployment process. But I'm sure if you don't have the right practices in place, it could get a little tricky. So why don't you explain the benefits that Kubernetes provides?
So Kubernetes, the main benefit is like you provide Kubernetes a ideal state that you want to run your application. For example, you have 10 containers, but you need 100 copies of it. That's your ideal state. You provide those set of instructions by writing, some kind of instructions in a file, and
Mm,
then pass it to the Kubernetes cluster, and Kubernetes
mm,
cluster will make it happen, like how to actually manage those 100 copies in your all environment.
right.
So basically, it's make it repeatable process, and it's trackable. If any changes happening to the environment, you can track it, who changed what. So
Mm,
deployments make easy. Another benefit is, DevOps practices becomes more standardization with this. So also again, with DevOps as well, uh, the performance and, you can say, security of these containerizations, everything like kind of streamlined with this.
mm,
And deployments wise is also like, if you want, for example, a new code change. If, if you introduce a new code change to your environment, and for some reason customer complains that they didn't like that, or maybe the code change is not working as expected in production,
mm.
it's very easy to roll back that change using
Okay,
Kubernetes. So it's very powerful in that sense.
great. Okay, and what are some of the capabilities that help enable these benefits in Kubernetes?
So, Kubernetes is basically, in traditional, again, IT world, if you need like a backup and recovery, disaster and recovery, that type of things, you have to actually set up a lot of complex infrastructure with it. For example, if you need blue-green deployments and like A/B deployments, that type of thing, or canary deployments and rolling update deployments pattern, you have to actually set up infrastructure, tools, and all these things to make it work properly. But with Kubernetes, these functionalities are out of the box. All the
Mm,
security capabilities, RBAC access, and all these things are out of the box, as well as like health check options. For example, if you're, for some reason, one node is down in your cluster, Kubernetes will actually automatically detect it and actually move all
mm,
your container workloads to other server without you doing anything. So,
mm,
so there are like a lot of capabilities that was very complex to do in old traditional IT world, and with
mm.
Kubernetes is like a just right set of instruction, pass it to the cluster, and cluster will take care of it.
Okay, okay, great. And what are some of the possible risks or challenges that users may face when using this technology?
Yeah, so Kubernetes is still, companies are adopting, and it's still new. And like couple of years ago, AWS and other cloud providers, Azure, AWS, they actually introduce fully managed services for it. So they are
Mhm,
keep adding features to it. Still, a lot of things are missing, um,
mm,
and so I mean, there are like challenges like when you have like multiple clusters, how you
Mm,
manage them. So there are like things like that usually uh, common risk, not a risk, but it's more like a challenges when working with the
mhm.
Kubernetes environment. You have multiple containers running, and you have multiple clusters. You have to manage them together. So for a large organization, a small medium organization, it's a little bit challenging. You need to have like IT staff who knows like what they're doing.
Gotcha. Or a partner with credible brands, maybe like Rancher. Could you explain a little bit about that as well? DataNext recently announced that we were becoming a partner.
Yeah, so we recently announced our partnership with Rancher Labs, and I'm very excited about it. And Rancher is basically a platform which basically manage all your Kubernetes clusters. For example, you have 2 clusters running on AWS, you have 5 clusters running on Azure, and 3 running on Google Cloud, and maybe a couple of running on your local environment, local data center. So how you manage all these things, how you deploy, how you write security policies, all these challenges basically you can handle through the Rancher, software. So
Mm,
we provide like full support of your um, Kubernetes platform, so you can contact us to learn more about it.
mhm.
And I mean, I really like Rancher. They make life easier for Kubernetes
Yeah.
uh, platform and challenges that comes with it.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, like Zee said, you can always contact us if you have any questions. I'm going to share the contact details up on the screen now. We are very active also on social media, so you can follow us there to keep up to date with what we're doing. We upload our Cloud Tank series every other week, and we also have weekly tech tips with Zee, so you don't want to miss that. And thank you so much again for joining us. Zee, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.